Hey everyone, and a huge, warm welcome back to the channel. Seriously, wherever you are tuning in from right now, I hope you're feeling absolutely fantastic, sending you all the positive vibes and wishing you nothing but amazing health and energy today and always. Take good care of yourselves. Okay, picture this. You're hacking your way through the dense, steamy jungles of Central America, the air thick with humidity and the buzz of insects. Suddenly, you stumble upon something impossible: colossal stone pyramids piercing the canopy, towering temples adorned with strange, intricate carvings of gods and serpents, vast plazas silent under the sun. This isn't some Hollywood set, this is the real, breathtaking legacy of the Maya. For centuries, these incredible ruins lay hidden, swallowed by the jungle, fueling wild stories of a mysterious people who simply vanished. But here's the mind-blowing truth. The Maya never really disappeared, and their story is far more fascinating, complex, and alive than any simple myth of disappearance. We're about to journey deep into the heart of one of history's most ingenious and misunderstood civilizations. Forget dusty old textbooks. We're going to uncover the real secrets of the Maya, how they built glittering cities without metal tools or wheels, how they mastered the stars and time itself with astonishing precision, what daily life was like for a farmer or a king, and why their magnificent cities were eventually swallowed by the green embrace of the jungle. Get ready, because we're peeling back the vines of time to reveal the astonishing truth about the Maya. Imagine a civilization flourishing not in one single empire ruled by a single king, but as a vibrant patchwork of powerful city-states, each with its own proud ruler, its own towering pyramids, and its own fierce ambitions. This was the Maya world, stretching across what is now southern Mexico, Guatemala, Belize, Honduras, and El Salvador. Forget a neat timeline, their story unfolds over thousands of years, reaching dazzling heights during what archaeologists call the Classic Period, roughly from 250 AD to 900 AD. Picture powerful city-states like Tikal, its immense temples rising like forest-clad mountains above the jungle canopy, Calakmul hidden deep in the Mexican rainforest, Palenque renowned for its elegant architecture and detailed inscriptions, Copan famous for its stunning stairway covered in hieroglyphs, and Caracol, a dominant force in Belize. These weren't isolated villages. They were sprawling urban centers, hubs of tens of thousands of people, connected by a complex web of trade routes snaking through jungle paths and along coastlines. Kings, known as Keohulajah, holy lords, ruled from these cities, claiming divine authority, descended from the gods themselves. Their power was displayed in massive building projects, elaborate rituals, and often, brutal warfare against rival cities. Capturing enemy kings for sacrifice was a supreme act of power and devotion. So, the Maya world was a dynamic, often tense, landscape of competing city-states, bound together by shared culture, religion, and an astonishingly sophisticated understanding of the world around them. Let's shatter one big myth right away: the Maya didn't vanish. While their great classic period cities in the southern lowlands were indeed largely abandoned by around 900 AD, the Maya people themselves didn't go anywhere. Millions of their descendants still live in the region today, speaking Mayan languages and preserving rich cultural traditions. What did happen was a dramatic shift, a collapse of the complex political and social systems that supported those massive southern cities. Think of it less like a disappearance and more like a major societal transformation, or relocation. Why did people leave these incredible stone cities? It wasn't one single disaster, but likely a perfect storm of interconnected problems. Imagine generations of intense warfare between rival city-states draining resources and manpower. Picture populations growing larger than what the surrounding land, even with sophisticated farming, could reliably support, especially if droughts hit, and climate scientists have found evidence of severe, prolonged droughts during this period. Deforestation from clearing land for agriculture and burning limestone for plaster might have worsened local climate effects. As resources dwindled and droughts persisted, faith in the divine kings, whose primary job was ensuring prosperity and rain, likely crumbled. Trade networks faltered. Social unrest grew. Gradually, over decades, people migrated away from the struggling southern heartland. Many moved north into the Yucatan Peninsula, where cities like Chichen Itza, Uxmal, and Mayapan rose to prominence during the post-classic period. Others moved to the cooler Guatemalan highlands or coastal areas. Life continued, kingdoms rose and fell, like the powerful Kitch and Caxical kingdoms encountered by the Spanish. But the era of the giant, densely populated southern lowland cities, with their intricate royal courts and inscribed monuments celebrating kings, came to an end. The jungle slowly reclaimed the stone plazas and temples, but the Maya people endured. Now, step away from the grand plazas and pyramids for a moment and picture the lifeblood of the Maya world, the humble maize field, or milpa. Forget vast wheat plains. Maya agriculture was a masterpiece of adaptation to the challenging rainforest environment. Their absolute staple, the sacred food that sustained them, was maize, corn. But growing enough corn to feed huge city populations in soil that quickly loses nutrients was a constant challenge. Their solution? Ingenious and varied farming techniques. The most famous is slash-and-burn agriculture, clearing a patch of forest by cutting and burning the vegetation, which fertilized the soil with ash. They'd farm this plot for a few years until the soil was exhausted, then let it lie fallow, rest, for many years, sometimes up to 20, allowing the forest to regrow before clearing it again. This required vast amounts of land rotating through the cycle. In swampy lowland areas like those around Tikal, they engineered sophisticated raised fields. They dug canals through the wetlands, piling the muck onto platforms between them. These raised fields were incredibly fertile, constantly enriched by nutrient-rich mud scooped from the canals, and could be cultivated year-round, even during dry spells. They also used terraces on hillsides to prevent erosion and maximize land use, and practiced kitchen gardening near their homes, growing vegetables like beans, which also fixed nitrogen in the soil, squash, chili peppers, tomatoes, avocados, sweet potatoes, and herbs. Fruit trees like papaya, guava, and cacao were also cultivated. Cacao beans were especially precious, used to make a bitter, frothy chocolate drink enjoyed by the elite and even used as a form of money. Farming was hard, physical labor, the domain of the vast majority of the population. The success of the harvest was literally a matter of life and death, deeply intertwined with their religion and the favor of the rain god, Chak. So, who were the people living in the shadow of those pyramids? Maya society was hierarchical, with clear social classes, though perhaps less rigid than some other ancient civilizations like Egypt. At the very top sat the king, Keohulajah, and his immediate royal family. They were considered sacred intermediaries between the people and the gods, responsible for maintaining cosmic order through rituals, warfare, and building projects. Their lives were documented on stone monuments, stelae, showing them in elaborate regalia, performing rituals, and celebrating victories. Below them came the nobility, high-ranking officials, military leaders, and priests. Priests, kin, held immense power, performing the vital ceremonies to appease the gods, interpreting calendars and omens, overseeing sacrifices, and preserving sacred knowledge, including writing and astronomy. Scribes were part of this elite class or closely associated with it. Then came the artisans and skilled craftspeople, sculptors who carved the intricate stelae and temple facades, painters who created vibrant murals, like the stunning ones at Bonampak, potters who shaped beautiful painted vessels, weavers creating colorful textiles, and skilled workers in jade, obsidian, shell, and featherwork. Merchants, especially long-distance traders dealing in precious goods like jade, obsidian, quetzal feathers, salt, and cacao, could also gain significant wealth and influence. Below them were the vast numbers of commoners, the farmers, laborers, builders, and servants who formed the backbone of society, providing the food and labor that sustained everything else. At the bottom were slaves, often prisoners of war, criminals, or people sold into slavery due to debt, used for labor or as sacrificial victims. Your place in society was largely determined by birth, but there might have been some room for movement, especially through military success or exceptional skill. Family lineages and ancestral ties were incredibly important, shaping social standing and land ownership. Step inside a typical Maya home. Forget stone palaces, those were for royalty and gods. Most Maya lived in modest, practical dwellings. The classic commoner's house was a single rectangular room, built on a low stone platform to keep it dry during rains. Walls were made of wooden poles interwoven with flexible branches, wattle, and coated with thick layers of mud, daub. Roofs were steeply pitched, made of thatch from palm leaves, designed to shed the heavy tropical rain efficiently. Inside, it was simple and functional. There was usually one main room for living, sleeping, cooking, and working. People slept on low platforms covered with mats. A hearth, often just stones arranged on the floor, was used for cooking. Belongings were stored in baskets or pots, hung from the rafters, or placed on simple shelves. Often, houses were grouped around a small shared courtyard with other family members, parents, married children, grandparents. This courtyard was the heart of daily activity. Food preparation, tool making, weaving, childcare, and socializing happened here. Wealthier families, or those in positions of local authority, might have larger houses, sometimes with multiple rooms, built on higher platforms, and perhaps featuring some stone elements or better quality materials, but the basic wattle and daub structure was common. The homes of the elite and royalty, of course, were vastly different, multi-roomed palaces built of stone and lime plaster, often decorated with sculptures and paintings, situated within the ceremonial center of the city. But for most Maya, home was a sturdy, organic structure, intimately connected to the land and the rhythms of family life, cool in the heat and shelter from the rain. What fueled the Maya engine? Beyond the vital agriculture, the Maya were skilled producers and active traders. Imagine bustling local markets within cities and towns, filled with the sights, sounds, and smells of commerce. Farmers brought their surplus maize, beans, squash, fruits, and chili peppers. Hunters offered deer, peccary, wild pig, turkey, and iguana meat. Fishermen sold their catch from rivers, lakes, and the coast. Artisans displayed their wares, beautifully painted pottery for everyday use and ritual purposes, finely woven cotton textiles dyed in vibrant colors, using dyes from plants, insects, and minerals, intricately carved jade jewelry and figurines, razor-sharp obsidian blades and tools, wooden implements, baskets, ropes, salt, a crucial preservative, often evaporated from seawater or mined from inland deposits, honey, and cacao beans. Cacao was so valuable it was money. Small beans were used for everyday purchases, while large sacks were used for bigger transactions. But trade went far beyond the local market. The Maya engaged in extensive long-distance trade networks, connecting highland regions to lowlands and coastlines. Canoes paddled along rivers and coastlines. Human porters carried goods along well-established jungle trails using tumplines, straps across the forehead. What traveled these routes? Highland areas exported essential volcanic obsidian, for sharp tools and weapons, jade, highly prized for its beauty and symbolic value, quetzal feathers, unbelievably vibrant green feathers used for royal headdresses, and pyrite, for mirrors. Lowland regions exported cotton textiles, brightly colored bird feathers, like macaw, copal resin, used as incense, salt, dried fish, shells, honey, and, crucially, cacao. Coastal areas provided salt, dried fish, shells, used for jewelry and trumpets, and sea products. This exchange wasn't just about goods, it moved ideas, artistic styles, technologies, and even news between the often rival city-states, creating a shared Maya culture despite the political fragmentation. Now, prepare to be amazed by the Maya mind. Their intellectual achievements, especially considering they lacked metal tools, using stone, wood, and obsidian, the wheel for transport, though they understood its principle, using it in toys, or large beasts of burden, are truly staggering. Let's start with their writing. The Maya developed the most sophisticated writing system in the entire ancient Americas. It wasn't just simple pictures, it was a complex mix of logograms, symbols representing whole words, and syllabograms, symbols representing syllables, combined in intricate ways. Scribes used brushes made of animal hair to write with ink made from carbon black or colored pigments onto folded bark paper books, codices, or carved it into stone monuments, stelae, altars, temple walls, or painted it on pottery. Sadly, the Spanish, viewing their books as pagan works, destroyed almost all of them. Only 4 precious Maya codices survived, precious windows into their knowledge. This writing system recorded history, kings' births, deaths, victories, accessions, rituals, astronomy, and mythology. Then there's their math. The Maya used a vigesimal system, base 20, counting on fingers and toes. They had a symbol for zero, shell shape, a concept many ancient civilizations lacked, which was crucial for their advanced calculations. They represented numbers using a combination of dots, units, and bars, fives. This mathematical genius was primarily driven by their obsession with time. The Maya were arguably the greatest astronomers and timekeepers of the ancient world. They meticulously tracked the movements of the sun, moon, planets, especially Venus, the morning and evening star, and stars over centuries. They didn't just observe, they calculated cycles with incredible precision. They used multiple interlocking calendars. The 260-day tsokin, or sacred round, was used for religious ceremonies and divination. The 365-day hab, or vague solar year, tracked the seasons. These 2 calendars meshed like gears to create a 52-year calendar round. For tracking truly long periods, they used the long count, counting days from a mythical starting point, often correlated to August 11, 3114 BC in our calendar. This allowed them to record historical dates accurately over millennia. Their astronomical observations allowed them to predict eclipses and the movements of Venus with remarkable accuracy, all integrated into their complex cosmology and ritual life. Their knowledge of the cosmos was embedded in their city planning, with buildings aligned to solstices, equinoxes, or the movements of Venus. Religion wasn't a separate part of Maya life, it was the very air they breathed, the foundation of their universe. They saw the world as layered and interconnected, the heavens above, the earthly realm in the middle, and the watery underworld, Xibalba, below, all inhabited by powerful, often capricious deities who needed constant appeasement. Gods represented natural forces and aspects of life, Itsamna, the creator god, lord of the sky and knowledge, Chak, the hook-nosed rain and storm god, crucial for crops, Kinichajal, the sun god, Nine Chel, the moon goddess, associated with weaving, medicine, and childbirth, Yum Cox, the young maize god, representing life and resurrection, and the fearsome death gods of Xibalba. The Maya believed in a cyclical view of time and creation. Worlds were destroyed and remade. Maintaining the cosmic balance, known as Kea, was paramount. This is where the king, as the primary link to the gods, played his vital role. Through elaborate public ceremonies performed on the temple pyramids, he communicated with the deities, offered sacrifices, and ensured the continuation of the world. Rituals were complex and multisensory, burning copal incense whose sweet smoke carried prayers to the heavens, piercing the tongue, earlobes, or genitals to draw blood, a precious offering, music from drums, flutes, whistles, and rattles, dancing in elaborate costumes and masks, and offerings of food, drink, jade, and precious objects. And yes, sacrifice was a central part of maintaining the cosmic order. This could range from offerings of blood, auto-sacrifice by royalty was common, and animals to the sacrifice of valuable objects thrown into sacred wells, cenotes, to the ultimate offering, human life. Captured enemy kings and nobles were highly prized sacrificial victims, as were slaves and sometimes even volunteers seeking divine favor. Sacrifices could involve decapitation, heart extraction, or being shot with arrows. It was a deeply serious, sacred act, believed essential to nourish the gods and keep the sun rising, the rains falling, and the world from descending into chaos. The famous ball game, played with a heavy rubber ball in long stone courts, wasn't just sport, it was a ritual reenactment of cosmic battles, sometimes ending in the sacrifice of players, representing the hero twins from their creation myth defeating the lords of death. Life for the Maya was filled with vibrant cultural expressions. Music was integral to rituals and celebrations. Instruments included various drums, tuncal, horizontal, packs, vertical, flutes and whistles made of clay, bone, or wood, conch shell trumpets, turtle shell drums, and rattles, chin-chin. The haunting sound of these instruments accompanied ceremonies, dances, and even warfare. Dance was equally important, performed by both men and women, often wearing elaborate feathered headdresses, jade jewelry, and costumes depicting gods or animals. Their art is instantly recognizable, intricate, stylized, and deeply symbolic. Master sculptors carved limestone stelae depicting kings in all their regalia, altars showing captives bound for sacrifice, and the facades of temples covered in masks of gods, like the famous giant masks of chalk at Kohunlich or Uxmal. Painters created vivid murals depicting historical events, courtly life, battles, and mythological scenes. Bonampak's murals are breathtakingly detailed. Potters shaped elegant vessels painted with scenes of mythology, court life, or hieroglyphic texts. Scribes filled codices with intricate glyphs and colorful illustrations of gods and rituals. Jade was carved into exquisite beads, pendants, ear flares, and mosaics for royal masks. Obsidian was napped into sharp blades and ritual objects. Featherwork, using the iridescent feathers of quetzal and macaws, created stunning headdresses and capes for royalty. Even everyday objects like spindle whorls or tools were often decorated. Storytelling was a cherished tradition, passing down the epic tales of the hero twins Hunahpu and Xbalanque battling the lords of Xibalba, recorded in the Popol Vuh, as well as histories, moral lessons, and humorous tales. The ball game, played on long eye-shaped courts flanked by sloping walls, was a major spectacle. Players, wearing protective padding, tried to keep a heavy solid rubber ball in play using only their hips, elbows, or knees, aiming to get it through a high stone ring. The game had deep religious and political significance, symbolizing the battle between life and death, light and dark, and sometimes literally deciding the fate of captives. The arrival of the Spanish in the early 16th century marked a catastrophic turning point. European diseases like smallpox, measles, and influenza, to which the Maya had no immunity, swept through populations like wildfire, killing millions, perhaps 90% or more, within a century. This biological catastrophe shattered societies already navigating the complexities of the post-classic period. Spanish conquistadors, driven by gold, land, and religious zeal, encountered fierce resistance. Powerful highland kingdoms like the Quiche and Caciquel fought valiantly but were eventually overcome by superior Spanish weaponry, guns, steel swords, horses, tactics, and the devastating impact of disease. The last independent Maya kingdom, the Itzá in the Petén region of Guatemala, held out until 1697. Spanish rule brought brutal exploitation. The encomienda system forced Maya into virtual slavery, working on Spanish estates. Their lands were taken. But perhaps the most profound attack was on their culture and knowledge. Spanish friars, determined to eradicate paganism, embarked on a systematic campaign to destroy Maya religion. They demolished temples, smashed idols, and banned traditional rituals and dances. Most tragically, they sought out and burned thousands of precious Maya codices, the books containing their history, science, rituals, and literature. Only a handful survived, hidden or taken to Europe. The Spanish enforced conversion to Catholicism, often violently. They suppressed Maya languages, forcing Spanish. Despite this immense pressure, the Maya spirit endured. They resisted culturally, blending elements of Catholicism with their ancient beliefs, creating unique religious practices that continue today. They preserved their languages orally and, later, began writing them down using the Latin alphabet. Traditional farming practices, weaving techniques, pottery styles, and stories were passed down secretly through generations. The Maya didn't vanish, they adapted and persisted under incredibly harsh conditions, safeguarding the core of their identity. Today, the Maya civilization is very much alive. Millions of Maya people live across southern Mexico, Guatemala, Belize, Honduras, and El Salvador. They speak over 30 distinct Mayan languages, like Yucatec, Quiche, Caciquel, and Mayan. While many aspects of modern life have changed, deep cultural roots remain strong. Traditional clothing, especially among women, is vibrant and distinctive, often specific to particular villages or regions, woven on backstrap looms using techniques unchanged for centuries. Ancient farming methods, like the milpa cycle, are still practiced alongside modern techniques. Maya spirituality is resilient, often existing alongside Catholicism in a unique blend. Ancient deities like Chalk are still invoked for rain, and rituals connected to the land and ancestors continue. Traditional healers, H-men in Yucatec Maya, use knowledge of medicinal plants passed down for generations. Communities fiercely guard their languages and traditions. The ancient sites, once abandoned to the jungle, are now carefully excavated, studied, and preserved. Archaeologists, linguists, and epigraphers, scholars who study ancient writing, continue to make incredible breakthroughs, deciphering more glyphs, uncovering new cities, and refining our understanding of their complex history, thanks in part to collaboration with modern Maya communities. Tourism brings both challenges and opportunities, as people from all over the world come to marvel at Tikal, Chichen Itza, Palenque, and other magnificent sites. Modern Maya artists, writers, musicians, and filmmakers are reclaiming their narrative, telling their own stories and celebrating their heritage. The story of the Maya is not one of a dead civilization, but of a dynamic, resilient culture that has weathered millennia, adapting and enduring while holding fast to its unique identity. Their ancient cities stand as awe-inspiring monuments to human achievement, but their true legacy walks and speaks in the vibrant communities of their descendants today. So, what are the secrets of the Maya? They weren't aliens or a people who mysteriously vanished. Their secret was an astonishing ability to thrive in a challenging environment, building glittering cities and a complex society with simple tools but brilliant minds. Their secret was a deep, intricate connection to the cosmos, expressed through precise calendars, astronomy, and profound rituals designed to keep the world in balance. Their secret was resilience, surviving the collapse of their classic cities, enduring the catastrophic impact of European invasion and disease, and preserving their unique identity against centuries of pressure. Their secret is their enduring spirit, alive today in the languages, traditions, and communities of millions of Maya people. They teach us about human ingenuity, the power of observation, the importance of understanding time and nature, the depth of religious belief, and the incredible strength of cultural survival. The next time you see a picture of a Maya pyramid, remember, it's not just a ruin. It's a testament to a civilization that reached dazzling heights, faced profound challenges, and whose heart still beats strong in the present. Thanks so much for joining me on this incredible journey into the world of the Maya.